Hi friends, this is Aimee. Welcome to my video. I hope you're doing well today. I wanted to take some time to talk about my general approach to translation and live interpretation. Now, I know we have our own ideas about translation, localization, and interpretation, so what I stick to may not necessarily be what you practice. My intent is not to pass any judgment, so it would be great if you could keep that in mind. Another point I do want to make: word choice. It's different from person to person, and so while it's understandable that we might have similar translation solutions, there's never really one correct way to do a translation, much less a live interpretation. And guess what? We all make mistakes sometimes. But I do believe that once we do make a mistake, we can always go back, apologize for the error, and correct that mistake. With all that being said, let's jump in. When I do written translation, I look at the material. Is it a business email, marketing material, maybe it's a specification document, or a script for spoken dialogue? Now, depending on the content, I skew between very literal translation versus more expanded or localized. Now, this might be just my workplace, but sometimes I come across long strings of untranslated emails, and I might want to save some time typing by providing a summary. But then in that case, I would have to go and read the email thread myself, so I have to look at it on a case-by-case basis. As a rule of thumb, if I come across an email or a specification document, I will skew very literal while trying to make it make sense in an English sentence structure. We do want these to be as accurate as possible, after all. Marketing material has a bit more flowery language, so to speak, so I can take more liberties and be more expanded or localized. But the challenge lies in finding the appropriate words to describe very abstract ideas. For example, like, how do I translate something like, "This experiential space will elevate the users and invite them to a heightened vibe," without the Japanese counterpart saying, "Okay, so but what does this space actually do?" Which brings us to the next point, getting the intent across. My approach for live interpretations focuses heavily on this, so my choice of words skew very heavily towards localization. Now, I may get some flack for my interpretation not being accurate or exact, but I want to make sure the speaker sounds like they're talking to you and not the translator. I do my best to try to get into the person's head to make sure that I'm conveying not just the words, but the emotion that's behind it. If the speaker makes a joke, I want you to laugh at that joke. If it's funny because they do something silly, or if they're deadpan, I will make sure and do my best to mimic that. If a speaker needs to make an apology, I will try to sound as sincere as possible as well. In closing, I think my approach for both written and verbal translations and interpretations boil down to, how do I get two people to understand each other? And that doesn't mean simply translating Japanese into English or vice versa, but think about, how do I get the other person to think or do what the writer or speaker intends for them? Well, I hope that was at least somewhat helpful for everyone. Feel free to leave any questions or comments you may have. I will do my best to answer it to the best of my abilities. Thanks for watching.